The European Central Bank (ECB) just dropped some fresh updates on their central bank digital currency CBDC plans. So far, about 70 different organizations, including merchants, fintech firms, startups, banks, and various payment providers, have joined the Digital Euro Innovation Platform. Their goal? To explore new and creative ways to use the digital euro in real-world payments. Now let's break down what this really means and why it matters. I've also got some compelling connections to share involving XRP and its ties to this project, along with other institutions like the Bank of France. There's a lot to unpack, so stick around. If you dig into the list of participants, which you can view by clicking through the ECB's platform, you'll notice several big names, including companies that already have strong relationships with Ripple. For example, Subbank appears on the list. So does Quant Network, QNT, and Coty as well. Here's Quant Network Europe Limited, clearly listed. Coty is right there too. Interestingly, there's also a small cap crypto project on the list. I'm not naming it here because I'm unsure if it's a serious player or just a random invitee. Its market cap is under $1 million, which feels a bit questionable. So we'll leave that one out for now. As of now, the ECB plans to make a final decision about launching a full-scale CBDC by the end of 2025. The outlook looks promising, but there's still a need for approval from Parliament before anything becomes official. Meanwhile, crypto researcher Matthew Liney recently pointed out that Quant is specifically named on the ECB's list, along with several known Ripple partners. While we're not reviewing every name one by one here, it's clear that Ripple's presence is strong throughout this initiative. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The Central Bank of France has gone on record saying that XRP could be a solid foundation for building a digital euro. They've already tested the XRP ledger in multiple real-world scenarios and seem to recognize its potential for large-scale digital payments. France has been particularly vocal in acknowledging Ripple's technology. They've said XRP is well suited for CBDCs, and the ledger itself was practically built for this purpose. When it comes to building a reliable CBDC infrastructure, Ripple and Quant stand out as two of the most capable players in the space. So if the European Central Bank is looking for top-tier technology partners for the digital euro, a combination of Ripple and Quant could be exactly what they go with. And based on everything we've seen, from the testing by the Bank of France to the official list of ECB collaborators, that's looking more likely by the day. One of the key reasons XRP has been considered a strong model for central bank digital currencies (CBDCs) is its unique setup. Ripple and XRP have gained the trust of many global banks because of their controlled, centralized structure. While some might criticize this centralization, especially in the crypto space, it's actually one of the features that make XRP appealing for governments and large institutions looking for security and control. Now, to clarify, the source of that claim might be a bit dated, but the general idea holds up. Ripple's proposal has often been used as an example to show how some blockchain features may not always align with what CBDC developers are looking for. That said, there are specific configurations like the XRP ledger that can be adapted to meet the demands for speed, security, and compliance that CBDCs require. Here's something interesting. When people refer to XRP as being highly centralized, they're likely pointing to the limited number of validator nodes on its network. Unlike fully decentralized systems, XRP operates in a more controlled environment, which gives governments the oversight they want. And let's be real, CBDCs aren't designed to be free-for-all currencies. Governments want full visibility and control, and XRP's model makes that easier to achieve. Also worth noting, CPA Australia released a report referencing the Central Bank of France's interest in Ripple's technology. That's something I've mentioned before. And while some folks argue that recent announcements don't directly name XRP, there's no denying that Ripple has had a strong presence behind the scenes. Some people might claim this has nothing to do with XRP and say it's just clickbait. Fair point. But if you dig deeper, it's clear that several Ripple-affiliated companies are involved in these initiatives. Christine Lagarde, who heads the European Central Bank, has openly mentioned Ripple and Stellar as major disruptors in the financial space. And here's a serious question: who else in the crypto world has the level of institutional relationships that Ripple does? Maybe HBR has a solid advisory board, sure, but when it comes to real-world banking partnerships, Ripple is in a league of its own. Let's not forget Morgan Stanley either. This global financial powerhouse has recognized XRP as a potential game changer in the payments industry. According to their research, XRP could serve as a strong alternative to traditional systems like SWIFT, which currently dominate the cross-border transaction space. Morgan Stanley highlighted some clear advantages of using XRP, including faster settlement times and overall transaction speed. These benefits are exactly what global financial systems are hungry for, especially as they modernize and look for ways to cut costs and improve efficiency. It's pretty clear now about 90% of countries are actively working on launching their own central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. What I don't get though is how some US lawmakers, particularly Democrats, seem to support CBDCs but push back hard against stable coins. That contradiction just doesn't make sense to me. Of course, both political parties have their flaws. Let's be real, America's got its fair share of issues. Sometimes we can't even agree on basic facts, let alone make progress as a country. And I think that's a big reason why meaningful change often gets stalled. When it comes to social media, the truth gets blurry fast. The moment something gets shared 100 or 200 times, no matter how wrong it is, people start believing it. That's dangerous. When misinformation becomes widely accepted, it leads to confusion. Just watch one of former President Trump's recent interviews. It was clear he believed in some ideas that didn't quite line up with the facts. Honestly, it was unsettling. Then there's this person named Barry C., who's often called an expert in the crypto space. But let's be honest, calling him an expert feels like a stretch. He recently said once banks start using XRP, the price will skyrocket $100, $500, even $1,000 per XRP. While I don't agree with everything he says, I do believe that someday we'll see XRP hit some incredible price points. Meanwhile, Ripple is making a real impact in a different way. They've stepped up to support American educators by raising $25 million to help classrooms across the US. That's a huge deal. Right now, with the government pulling back on education spending, schools are struggling and teachers desperately need resources. If you're in the US or even if you live abroad and want to help support American classrooms, go to Brad Garlinghouse's official Twitter page. Just make sure it's the real one, the account with 1.2 million followers. Look for the donation post, click the link and give whatever you can. Every bit helps. Now, on a personal note, I want to share something. Back in 2021, I made $2.8 million in crypto. That's not something I ever imagined I'd achieve. Before that, I'd never even made close to $1 million in my life. But I was able to do it by paying attention, staying ahead of trends, and learning from my community and close friends. If there's one thing I've learned about crypto, it's this: timing is everything. The key is to get in early and only invest in projects that offer